Okay, we are live. Good morning. This is Attorney Vince Davis, and this is The Secret: How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm joined by my co-host, Miss Deidre Payne. Miss D, how are you coming to us from Orange County, California?
I'm good. It's bright and early, but I'm awake and ready.
You have a different background. You're not using that automobile virtual background today.
Gosh, I do actually have a home.
Oh, okay. All right.
What
By the
is
way,
that?
it was very nice meeting your husband the other day on the FaceTime.
I know I told him he's YouTube famous because I let him believe that he was on when it was live. So now he's really upset. He goes, I didn't want my face on there. Why'd you do that?
Okay.
Oh, well.
And we also have my other co-host this morning, Mr. Darren Guy, coming to us all the way from Maine. Mr.
Yes,
Guy,
sir.
how are you today?
I'm good. It's dump day. You know that. So it's always an exciting day.
Dump day, what do you mean?
Someday. What is
Saturday is when you go to the dump.
Oh, they don't
Oh,
have
Lord have mercy.
trash man
You
doesn't
know,
come to your house and pick up the trash?
no. We got cars and trucks for that and places to bring the trash. You know, when you come up here, I'll bring you. Maybe you'll be here for Saturday. We can go to the dump together.
Yeah. That sounds exciting.
You'll be
You know,
surprised, Mr. D.
you
You'll
know,
be surprised.
maybe 20 years ago, I was in a rural part of
Oh,
Louisiana, and my relatives wanted to take me to the Walmart superstore, which was brand new,
Yeah.
and to give me a tour of the Walmart superstore. Now,
hey, those are
we
fun.
we went to that Walmart superstore, and I walked around that thing for maybe 3 hours. I
Hmm.
was like fascinated, but I had
Yep.
never really been in a Walmart because at the time I was married. My wife was alive, and she hated Walmart. She hated Walmart because she was a progressive liberal, and she was pissed off at Walmart because of the way they allegedly treated their employees. So she never allowed us to go to Walmart.
Oh,
And I went to this Walmart, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is the
look at
greatest
all
thing
this
since
stuff.
sliced." Yeah, that's
You
it's
can
so
buy
much fun.
clothes from toiletries to groceries to.
Right. I couldn't believe the assortment of groceries. I couldn't believe the assortment of just regular clothes,
Electronics.
bathroom stuff and everything. And then my cousin, not that who was taking me, he spent like an hour by himself at the gun counter. I mean, they
Oh
had
yeah.
like this unbelievable gun selections at Walmart. And I'm
Mhm.
They
like,
have
oh my,
auto centers too, where you could be getting like your tires rotated
right,
or your oil
right,
change.
right. Yeah, it's fascinating. Anyway, I see that we have a guest, a very special guest, Miss Sabrina Hall. Good morning, Miss Hall. How are you?
I am doing great. Good morning, Mr. Davis, and good morning to everyone else, and thank you for having me here.
Certainly. Sabrina, where are you calling in from?
I am calling in from San Francisco, California, Bay
Oh,
Area,
that the city and county of San Francisco.
the city and county.
I've done a few cases, CPS cases up there. As a matter of fact, I maybe a couple months ago, I finished like a 5-day trial up there.
Oh, yeah, it's quite the different city now if you haven't been watching the news.
Oh, I have. I have.
Yes.
When I used to go to San Francisco to go to court, I would land at the airport. I would hop on that commuter train, and it would actually drop me off about 1 or 2 blocks from the CPS courthouse in San
Yeah,
Francisco.
you got on the BART
Yeah,
train, Bay
yeah.
Area Rapid Transit. Yeah.
At that time, it was I think 12.95, and I thought that was such a great idea, such a great way to commute. So I would be on Southwest, and it was like it probably took me less time
To Civic Center. It took
to
you to
fly
Civic Center too.
to San Francisco and catch the train and go to court than it would to. At that time, I was living in Orange County, and I would have to drive to LA. It was faster for me to fly to San Francisco than to drive from Orange County into Los Angeles to go to court. Anyway,
Yeah.
so what's happening, Sabrina, with CPS in the city and county of San Francisco?
Well, what don't you know yet already? My name is Sabrina. I'm an activist here in San Francisco. I'm also a medical assistant at the Cancer Center at a prestige hospital here in San Francisco and a phlebotomist. I first got introduced to CPS in my own life on May 20th, 2010, on my mother's birthday. I had a boyfriend, and he came in the house and everything was fine. Then all of a sudden he flipped and he choked me. So, and I passed out. The neighbors called the police. The police came. They put me in the ambulance, and I had a child at that time. I actually had three children at that time, and one of them was at home with me, and the other two were at school. The one that was with me was very sick. So they asked me what did I want to do with the kid, because they were also taking my boyfriend to jail at the time. I said, give my child to her grandfather, who just so happened to be on duty in front of my house. He's a San Francisco police officer. So I thought everything was fine. I kept passing out. When I woke up in jail. I checked my voicemail, and all my kids were gone, was taken from me. That was the first time I got interacted with CPS. I didn't know nothing. I was very scared. I spoke to them. Moving forward, I'm on my 28th allegation. I know I should never talk to them. But during that time, like I said, I'm an activist, so I will get plenty more allegations. During that time, my children were placed with their grandparents, the same person that I told the police to give to him. And he said he was going to drop her off to my mother, but he didn't. All my kids was placed with the grandparents, even my oldest daughter, that's not their child. Where I got, at that point, I thought it was brainwashing or separation. I would have to call and they would hang up the grandparents. I got kind of distance from my children. They were gone from May till July. And from San Francisco, they also got me, because when they came into the house, there was boxes everywhere, bags of clothes everywhere. They didn't put it in the chart that I was moving to Oakland. So that happened in May. In June, I moved to Oakland. My case continued over to Oakland, California, where they came and inspected my home. Everything was fine. My kids were returned to me July 4th. I made many complaints on the grandparents. Once my children were returned to me, they would talk very bad about me, about my sexual life. The grandmother is very into church, and I'm bisexual. So CPS on that particular case ridiculed me. I like to call it the promiscuous mother or the sexual mother. They ridiculed me with that. So I thought CPS was over after my case was closed. No, I somehow continuously and coincidentally got robbed at my house, which would put my kids in danger. That's what CPS say. So CPS would come up. I would continuously be late to work. I would have flat tires. So I wasn't able to keep jobs. People would call in on me. So of course, CPS came back into my life in 2012. I believe one of the claims was that I couldn't take care of the kids or something like that. Because here in San Francisco, we have crisis and we have CPS. So if you need help with the children, you're supposed to call crisis or CPS if you need any benefits or anything. So that's what I continuously did. But it always backfired on me. So I didn't know at that time not to let them in your house or anything. So when I would let them in my house, I just got through cooking or something. I may have a knife on the table. I may have, I'm washing clothes. I may have a pile of clothes right there waiting for the next load. When they come, I'm about to change my baby diaper, but they just got there. But in the report, they would put the house is unsafe. Many times they would put hygiene because of the clothes, pile of clothes, child's diaper, very full, no hygiene. So that's when I started realizing CPS will play word games with you. So I decided not to let them in my house any longer. Moving forward, I continuously got robbed and moved to East Oakland. Housing Authority, the Oakland Housing Authority moved me to East Oakland, where then, and let me give you a little backstory. Like I said, my kid's father, his father is the police. So I was in a domestic violence relationship. And every time I called the police, his father would show up or the partners from the station. On top of them also being Freemasons. So it kind of like scared me. So 2012, I got robbed again. got arrested illegally. I continuously get arrested illegally on top of me being an activist. I've always been an activist. I live in a small community in San Francisco called Baby Hunters Point, which is a federal Superfund site, which is highly contaminated. And a lot of the toxins in here causes emotional distress, lots of sickness. People start have lots of mental issues, which leads you right back to CPS because they have CPS right in our community. And that's a long story. Just to make a long story short. So I'm sorry about that. My laptop fell. But moving forward, I got robbed so many times. Come to 2014, after about 4 CPS cases, allegations closed. They never got removed from me. I decided to relocate to Las Vegas, where I didn't know anyone at all. So I got to Las Vegas. I have Section 8. And none of my houses, they never let me inspect it. They just say it passed. I moved out there not knowing anyone. I was told by San Francisco that since I'm a victim of crime, I can still get TANF out there since there's no California Works, Cal Works, because I moved out there as a victim of crime. That was inaccurate. I was there for 3 months broke. On the 3rd month, my house fell apart and Section 8 pulled the funding from the landlord. I was scared to be homeless again, so I called around Las Vegas trying to seek help. Boom, CPS again, saying neglect. I'm not able to take care of my children, but I did find a house. I eventually moved. My CPS case stayed open about 5 months then, where they did help me get child care. That's the only way I can get child care. And I found me a job. So I thought everything was fine. But unfortunately, on the reports, they will tell my children, I've had so many CPS cases that my children are now like isolating themselves from me. I'm so terrified that my kids are going to get taken. I'm now letting them do whatever they want. Because at this point, CPS has come in and told them, you know, your mother can't take any phones from you, no electronics, because that's a mean for emergency contact if something is happening. I cannot put my children on punishment. So my children, my 3 girls at that time, my son was only 2, would use that against me a lot. And it really scared me. In Vegas, a lot of stuff continuously happened to me as well. I continuously got arrested, tickets on my car, flat tires. I couldn't make it to certain meetings that CPS required me to get to. So I also got faulted for that. So moving forward, I eventually moved back to Las Vegas back to California, San Francisco, because on April 6th, which is my brother's birthday, my kid's father came down to visit the kids in Las Vegas. The one whose father is the police. He kidnapped my children and took them to California. Once he left with my children, I only have my son and my oldest daughter. I then flew her back to California to live with her auntie, and I kept my son. During that time, I made several reports with the police, even called down to California. They said there's nothing they can do. That's the father. There's no court record or anything, that says I have custody. At that moment, I feel like he's very powerful and his family is very powerful because of the police and the Masonic ties, that all my everything got cut off. My welfare got cut off. I lost my job somehow. I didn't even know. One day I just got fired. So I had no money. So I did the only thing I know to do as a mother, do anything I possibly can to get some money to get back to California, which I did. I literally had to prostitute.
Oh, that's it.
Yes, to get back to California. During that time, I packed a lot of food for my son. My son is very sick. I didn't want to make any stops because I felt like every time I stop or if I'm away from my car, something would be sabotaged. And at this point, I'm also second guessing myself. Like, am I going crazy? Are people really following me? Is stuff really happening to me, to my car, or is this me? Now, mind you, like I said, I'm an activist. I'm an Aquarius like Huey Newton, Angela Davis, Rosa Parks, Afeni Shakur. I hang with, Elaine Brown of the original Black Panther, currently to this day. I am a real activist, so I thought I was in some type of COINTELPRO, but then at the same time, I thought maybe I was going crazy because when I mentioned it, that's all people would say. I'm going crazy. No one knows what Freemasons is and all that. But moving forward, I got back to California any way I could. My truck broke down. I gorilla glued my radiator. I drove until I broke down on the side of the road in Death Valley. And I just broke down in tears. And this nice Latino man came up and he helped me. He offered to help me and my child, and I had to have sex with him. He had a Masonic ring on as well. He helped me get all the way to Castro Valley, California, where he dropped me off in front of the Castro Valley Masonic Lodge, where I was able to call my mother for her to tow me from Castro Valley to back to San Francisco, which she did. During that time, I was homeless, so I had to go to a shelter. The shelter called CPS on me and many parents as well in San Francisco. It's one of the biggest scams San Francisco has going on. They put you in shelters. They say they house people, but they give you housing for a year. So they say they house people, and after that year, you're homeless again. So then they ask for money for the homeless, and you're back in the shelter. The shelters are nasty. When you make complaints like me and other parents did, you get a CPS case. So my next CPS case came. I went to the mayor's office, me and my children. I then hooked up with an activist group. It's called, which I'm still a member of and a moderator of on Facebook, CPS Against Child Corruption. And we start protesting. I went down to the mayor and I'm saying, you guys need to really revamp CPS, go look into the shelters. It really opens my eyes on a lot of other stuff. So I became an activist. I'm on the internet, San Francisco Chronicle, the Examiner, Bayview Paper, speaking about CPS corruption. 2018, me and a few people tried to become California proponents to get jury trials in California, but we did not get enough signatures. So that was my CPS case. I didn't have no food stamps when I moved back. They continued to let the father get the food stamps because when I moved back from Las Vegas to get my kids, they willingly went with me. And at that time, he was telling the kids, you're choosing your mother over me. And I feel like that's paternal brainwashing. When grandparents or parents or even family members or friends start brainwashing your children to take sides. So I didn't like that at all either. So I'm back in San Francisco and everything seems to me like it's falling apart. I finally get housed. The shelter moves me to a house, Section 8, where once again, I wasn't allowed at the inspection, even though I have 2 disabled children, and I need to make sure they accommodate my disabled children. They did not. They said the unit was okay. When me and my children moved in, they left us there for 6 months with no oven, no refrigerator, and the unit was full of rats. I had pictures. I tried to go to legal aid. I tried to go to Open Door Legal. I made complaints with HUD. I called the shelter, went to the mayor's office, the mayor's office at the time. Nothing happened. They left me there for 6 months, and I was too scared to report to the actual housing authority. When it first happened, that's why I waited 6 months, because every time my houses break down, I wind up homeless and get a CPS case. And I have to move. So I was scared. I've been traumatized by CPS. So moving forward, I am back in California. I'm in this house, this unit. They finally fixed everything. I'm thinking everything is okay. I start my activism again. Starting groups on the African American Advisory Board, YouTube groups about children that grew up in Masonic families. I am a child of a Masonic family as well, where I witnessed 6 deaths in my house that I grew up in, including my mother, August 16th, 2020, where I watched her get burnt.
All right.
As a child, I also called CPS several times on my own family because I was scared to live there because of all the deaths I was seeing. But I was deemed crazy that I didn't know what I was talking about back then. So I left it alone. I had another family member, CPS has been in my life a lot, that was saying All 8 of her kids got taken. I tried to take one of them, and CPS came and inspected my house and everything. They said I would get the little baby. Everything is fine. 2 days later, they called and said the baby died. Me and all the family, we asked for the body. We wanted to see the body. They said they already got rid of it.
So
To this day,
where are you now? Like, are your kids? Do you have your kids now? Just because
we're getting up to that. So I have
right.
2
Well,
of
I
my
know that you
children
got
now.
valuable time with Mr. Davis
Oh,
here.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. So let me speed it on up. So activist, I'm now working. I got scared to like stop, talking about all this Masonic stuff and all this. But moving forward, last year I got another CPS case, my 27th actual case. I've had allegations, but this is my actual case. My 16-year-old daughter tried to commit suicide. And out here, you're supposed to call crisis first, which I did. So I called crisis. They did not answer. So I called the police. The police said that's not their job. So then crisis called me back, and I told them about the my daughter trying to commit suicide. So they called the police. Then the police and crisis talked on each other on the phone. They both argued about whose job it is to take my child to the hospital or whatever. Bottom line is, they finally got her out to the emergency room, and that's how I got my CPS case. And she got removed from me permanently this past Thursday. What, 2 days ago? Because I was not able to. I think they said take care of her. I had a trial. I didn't even know I was at trial. My attorney told me that this date was just to set a trial, and then I could bring witnesses and paperwork, and she'll try to pull phone records or whatever. No, I got to court Thursday. It was a trial. I had no witnesses there, and they removed my daughter permanently from me. And she lives with my oldest daughter, which is fine. My daughter continuously asks them to close the case, that she just wants to live with her sister, as many minority families do, and a lot of people do. I got put back down south when I was a kid, back to Baton Rouge. We do that. And no, they closed it. They now have my daughter on Prozac. She's doped up. She smokes weed now. Um, Same thing in San Diego. It's been so bad. Everywhere I go, I get a CPS case. Like, I don't have to know anyone. In San Diego, my kids got so bad and uncontrollable that I was constantly calling crisis. And they tried to steal my kids then. They give you court-appointed therapists. So I sent my kids in with a recorder. They recorded for 3 hours. The therapist coaching my children. Why would you want to live with your mother? She's on welfare. Don't you want to go with your father and your grandparents? They have nice big houses. You can have this. I sent that to the courts, as well as the therapist, the CPS worker. They never showed up at court, the therapist or anything. That's how I got my kids back that time. Right now, I am actively fighting, and my attorney said they're going to do an appeal for me. But I don't know how accurate that is or how truthful it is, because currently I am with another man, and I had another baby. She was born October 20th of last year. My relationship was perfect until this year. I don't know if somebody sent him, if it's organized crime or what. He's been very domestically abusive to me. And every time I call the police do nothing for me out here. And I think it's derived from my kid's father being a police. So I have several reports. I get beat up. My cars get attacked by this man. And the police do nothing. They have his gun clip. He recently tried to kill me June 16th. The gun clip fell out, the gun jammed. The police have that, still never arrested him. August 22nd, the same officers I made complaints on, my kid's father called the police on me. He actually harmed himself. I consider him maybe a narcissist or something like that, but he harmed himself. The police arrested me, and he was there with all his family. Then he told the police, "No, I was lying. I'm sorry. You could take the handcuffs off." No, they still arrested me. They took me to jail and gave him temporary custody of my child for 7 days. I stayed in jail for about 8 hours, never seen a judge, just released me. Discontinued, nothing, fabricated charges. When I got out, he held my baby from me. Yes, and I continuously call for help, because even though he held my baby from me during those 7 days, he continuously had to come by to get food because he has no job. I work at a hospital, I make $39 an hour, and I have my own 6-bedroom place, even though it is Section 8, on top of my many councils that I sit on that I'm still getting paid from. So I'm the breadwinner in this house. So moving forward, again, I had to call the police yesterday. He busted my windows out my car. He chased me. His family comes up. The police do nothing. And I continuously just do call DPA. So I'm worried about my child now, my two minor children now, because now I have it on record that I have an open case because I did not follow suit with the reunification services they wanted me to do. They wanted me to do family therapy, but we are on a wait list. The services here in San Francisco are far and few. I'm still on a wait list from when my mother died in 2020. So that's where we're at now, and I'm just trying to figure out what I can do, because even the interviews with my children are appalled. My son is 10 years old. CPS worker asked him, "So does your mother beat you?" And my son said, "Yes, my mother beats me all the time." And so here go the CPS worker. I'm sorry, my laptop failed. Here go the CPS worker vigorously writing. And I said, "Hold on." Asked him what I beat him in. He's talking about video games. Yeah, we play PlayStation. So I'm just very terrified. I don't know like what else to do. I don't want to keep rambling because for the sake of time, but that's pretty much where I'm at right now. And I feel like I'm in some type of COINTELPRO stuff because I'm continuously getting arrested. I'm not sure how I can get an attorney because I feel like I've been blacklisted around. I'm trying to get help. I have recordings. I have police calls that don't match up with police reports. I just don't know what else to do. And I also worked at City Hall before. Like I'm a real activist, and when I try to get records of my CPS case down here at Fox Plaza, some gentleman that works there named Matthew Rothschild, he always signs it and denies me, and he always for some reason dates my letter 9/11, and I just don't know. So I'm just stuck out here and not really knowing what to do.
Hold on a
And that's
second.
why I want to
We're
get on
not
the
gonna.
show.
Hello. We're not gonna
Oh,
let
no
you.
names, no names. Sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Can you guys mute that out?
Go ahead.
Uh,
Just finish with your story and then ask me any
I do
questions.
apologize about that. No names. But I can't get any of my police reports. I need help. Legal aid is not helping me. Um, many
Can
of the
I
people
interrupt
that
and tell you, not to be rude, but you keep asking him questions, but then you're not stopping to let him answer your questions.
I'm
Excuse
sorry
Mr.
about that.
Davis.
I have a cognitive disability, and I'm deaf in my
No, I know
left
how it
ear.
is to
Sorry
get
about
going with
that.
a story, so that's why I kind of wanted to give you a chance to get some of those questions answered for you from Mr. Davis. Because
All
you've
right.
asked a lot of questions that I know you probably do want answers to.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me ask you some questions first. When's your next court date?
I don't have an next court date at all. She says she's going to file an appeal. It just happened Thursday.
Were your
You know,
rights
today. So
were your rights terminated?
says they're putting her up for adoption with my oldest daughter or guardianship.
Okay, so if a plan hasn't been picked, you have another court date.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I'm on my fifth attorney, so I don't know.
Okay. What you probably will want to do is take your government issued ID and go down to the courthouse and get the last 3 minute orders for all your children.
Minute orders. That's what you said, minute orders?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you probably would want to email them to me so I can review them and find out where you are in your case so that I can give you information. You see, depending on where you are in your case, my advice is going to be substantially different. Okay.
Okay.
So it's not like every time you go to court, it's the same thing. It's not. So depending on where you are, what module you're in, will depend on the advice that I give you.
Okay.
So many people like yourself, and they call me and they ask me questions, but they can't tell me anything about their case. And they talk to me as if the case is all one big thing and one
Hmm.
size fits all, and that's not accurate. I have to know
Okay.
specifically where you are in your case, what module, when's the next court date, that type of thing.
Okay, I totally understand that. From my understanding, that was my trial that I didn't know about. My case has been open for over a year.
Okay, well there are probably 7 or 8 different trials you can have,
Okay.
completely different. So when you say my trial, which of the 8 are you speaking about?
And that's it, Mr. Davis. Not educated enough on child welfare
No,
court.
it's not that you're educated or not educated, but apparently your attorney hasn't told you.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I only know what I'm told, and just because I'm told something doesn't mean it's accurate. And then also, they're not telling me stuff, so I didn't even know it was trial. So I appreciate that minute orders. And is
You,
excuse me, should I get the minute orders from all states?
no, I just said from the
This one,
last year.
the
You know,
last one.
the last 3 minute orders from your San Francisco
Okay.
court. Now, there's something that I want to tell you, Sabrina, and it's something that I've mentioned on the show before, and it's very harsh what I'm about to tell you. And I didn't make up this rule. I learned it in
Mhm.
law school, and it took me years to accept.
Okay.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Right.
You don't have to
Of,
write this down. This
oh,
video
I'll be writing it. Okay.
this this video will last forever on the internet
Okay.
on one of 8 social media sites. So just listen. It's your responsibility to try to educate yourself so that you can assist your lawyer. Now, that's a tall tale for an ordinary person because you don't know anything about the law. I can tell you that the 2 people that are co-hosting with me both have had CPS cases.
Hmm.
And when they were going through their CPS case, their level of knowledge and understanding was very, very low.
Hmm.
They didn't know. Nobody ever explained it to them. Now that their CPS involvement is basically over, they they're on the show with me every day, and they hear me, they listen to me talk, and they learn more and more and
Hmm.
more. They're at a totally different level. But it's one of those things where you can't know everything at once. You're going to have to take
Hmm.
time, learn things, and digest it.
Okay.
The first thing that I would ask you to do is find a lawyer that you can work with, because you're going to need a lawyer to get you out of this problem. Okay? You're not going to be able to do it. If you went to the hospital and the doctor says, "Hey, Sabrina, you need open heart surgery," are you going to go home and Google it and try to do it yourself? Of course not.
Mhm.
Right? Of course not, because you don't have the knowledge and training to do it and experience. You just don't have it because you're not an open heart surgeon, right?
Correct.
And guess what?
Correct.
You're not a CPS lawyer either. So
Hmm.
if you try to do this by yourself, it's just going to be a complete disaster. So if you want to start at a place, get the last 3 minute orders, email them to me, and I can tell you where you should go from there. Okay?
Yeah, Mr. Davis, and that wasn't harsh at all.
Well,
That's fine. I
a lot of
appreciate
people
that.
a lot of people think when I say ignorance of the law is no excuse, that implies so many things, because it took me years to even accept that. When I first heard it, I was flabbergasted that that was the rule in our country. Can you imagine? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Can you imagine how many people in your position, in your case, or in any
Hmm.
case, don't know the law?
Hmm.
They,
Yeah.
they, they don't know. And you know what? They've taken the easy way out and saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It's their fault that they don't know." I think that's pretty harsh. You know, one
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I became a lawyer, 40 years ago, was because I wanted to try to help people who don't know the law. I didn't know the law. I mean, things would
Hmm.
be happening in my community, in my life, and the law just seemed counterintuitive. It wasn't
Hmm.
justice wasn't what I thought it was, you know, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, it never is. So you're looking at this case just like Deidre, just like Darren. You look at your case like, well, where's the fairness, right? Fairness doesn't
Yeah.
have anything to do with it. You know, this country and the most states are statutory, meaning everything's in a law. Everything's written by
Mhm.
the legislature or by Congress. It's a law. Now, you'd be surprised what some of those laws say. And you're thinking, well, why does it say that? Well,
Correct.
that's because they made the law that way. They didn't ask you about it, right? But that is the law and that governs us. And fortunately or unfortunately, we're a country of laws. The only thing is that the ordinary person, they don't know the laws. And so they wake up and they think, oh, things will be done fairly. No. I have a YouTube video that you should watch.
Okay.
It's called "What is Justice?" Apparently there are some shorts and videos that are similar to this, but you should find the one where I'm standing in front of a whiteboard and I'm actually explaining something to a client who asked me to videotape this
Hmm.
for their own purposes, and then they sent me a copy and I put it on YouTube. It's one of the best explanations I've ever given to people about justice. And the gravamen of the video is 95% of what you believe justice is wrong.
Hmm.
5%, 5% is true. But you know how we are as human beings, even myself, we know a little bit about something.
Hmm.
We think we know everything about something, and it's not true.
Yeah.
I mentioned this the other day. The University of Chicago did a study one time and found that on average, 85% of what you believe is false. Can you imagine that? I'm not talking about law. I'm just talking about in life. 85% of what you believe on average is false. And we're walking around thinking, 99% of what we believe is true. And you're making decisions about life, about yourself, about children, about job, about work, about finances.
Hmm.
You're making the wrong decisions.
I really appreciate that talk, and I am trying to educate myself. I'm like one of the main, and try to find an attorney. It's just hard, and I just wish some of these legal aid services would just go ahead and
Wait,
let people
stop,
be apprentices.
stop.
Mhm.
You wish.
I
Mhm.
need help.
That,
I don't have no
that's the,
money to
well, well,
to
that,
get the
well,
attorney.
well, legal aid doesn't do that. You think they do. That's one of those things that you think is true, and it's not. That's not legal aid's business. That's not their job. You think it
And if
is. It's
anything, they
not.
work for the courts, so sadly, they end up giving you that corrupt
So
advice, even though
you
you think that
see,
they're doing good.
Sabrina, that's
Yes.
that's just what I'm saying. You think that they should do this. First of all, it's not their job. Secondly, they're not doing it. So now what are you going to do? Are you going to keep complaining about it? Or are you going to do something?
Yeah, I've been trying to read stuff. Wish I was a lawyer. I do know I can be a
Don't
lawyer if I
don't
work
do
as an
don't
apprentice under a
don't do
lawyer.
don't do that. Don't do that. It's like you Googling how to do open heart surgery. It's not going to help. It's
I
going to
know.
make you more confused.
Mhm.
If you needed open heart surgery, you go down to the local hospital and you get a freaking doctor, right? Because it's important. You're going to die otherwise. The same thing with these cases. If you don't get a lawyer, you're going to lose your kids, and then you're going to say that the system was corrupt.
Especially because you have a younger child, and if it gets in foster care, speaking from experience, they'll push that case out to where next thing you know, your child is then getting adopted,
So
all
Yeah, I
because of
know. I've
funding.
seen it, and that's what's happening. And it's just hard. I don't
so
know. I
but,
have kids
but,
by
but
people
go
in power.
go get a lawyer. Go get you would go get a doctor. Go get a lawyer.
Let's see.
Okay, you have to find someone that's going to help you. All right. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your political bent, in this country we have subsidized medical care.
Hmm.
Right? We don't have subsidized legal care.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
okay, you think, and it depends on your political bent and everything, but you think that you should have it. The problem is, Sabrina, you don't have it. Period.
Hmm.
End of story. Now, are you going to walk away from your kids or are you going to figure out how to get a lawyer? Because what's not going to work is if you try to figure this out by yourself. I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. I talk to lawyers every day, some that work with
Hmm.
me, some that don't work with me. Even lawyers find this area of law difficult and confusing. And you know what? I'm learning stuff every day myself.
Hmm.
So there's no way you're going to be able to pick it up without legal education and experience, right?
Yeah.
You
Yes.
don't have it. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to find somebody that does and figure out some type of payment plan or, financial arrangements. You just have to do that. That's it.
Yes, that's what I've been looking for, Mr. Davis, a lot. They have a Esquire apprenticeship program here in San Francisco. They do promote it in Oakland because you don't have to go to college to be a lawyer. You could just work under an
Huh.
apprentice. So I've been trying to get help. I totally understand what you're saying. Money ain't nothing for free. Nobody works for free.
But
And
here's the thing with the
yeah,
apprenticeship. You can be a lawyer without passing the bar and going to law school in California, and that's through that apprenticeship program. But it
yeah.
takes several years. Then you're going to have the years of experience. So we're talking about, you got 35 years to wait to do your case? No.
Uh, Let me
Your
tell you, I've
your
been
kids
waiting.
your kids will be
No.
grown adults.
I yeah, and that's the thing. I have 5 kids. I have grown kids already, so why now
Right.
take one of my kids?
I don't know. I don't know anything
Wait,
about
do you still have two of your kids in your care?
Yes, yes. My 2 oldest kids are 25 and 20, and then they placed my 17-year-old with my 25-year-old, and now I have my 10-year-old son and my 10-month-old daughter
in your custody.
in my custody.
Yeah. That's a very odd situation.
Oh,
Very.
they're oh no, they're attacking them. CPS coming because of my domestic violence, and I'm trying
That's
to
what I'm
file for full
saying.
custody.
That's what they're going to do to you. They're going to come and find the smallest little thing, and they're going to take your two younger
I know.
children, and then they're going to. So Mr. Davis is trying to tell you in a nutshell. Me and Darren unfortunately found Mr. Davis like too late in our game. So why one of the main reasons I still continue to try and do this show is to help educate parents in situations like yourself to kind of open your eyes in the fact that he's trying to just tell you in a nutshell you need a lawyer and you need a lawyer today or you'll never win and next thing you know you're going to wake up one morning and be like what happened and you lose your kids because
Right.
Oh
that's
yeah, I
exactly what
know.
happened to me and Darren. And I don't know how much more to just kind of tell you in simple words like he's trying to tell you, but it's hard to accept when you are in the beginning stages of your case because you just don't really think that this is what's going to happen because you're in America. But believe me, we've had it happen to us. And if I would have found Mr. Davis in the beginning of my case, I would have made a way to basically afford him or hire him. And he's kind of trying to tell you you need a lawyer, and that's kind of
Yeah.
your only avenue. As harsh as that is, but these people are corrupt and they're only in it for one thing and it's funding and to take your children and they could care less about keeping you with your children if you know what I mean. So
Oh yes, I do know what you mean.
I just
I
hope that
yeah.
you can find the means to hopefully maybe even hire Mr. Davis because you're in California, but otherwise it's sounding like from what we've all heard and the experience that we've gone through, especially because you have those younger children, that that's the eye on the prize for them. And next thing you know, they're going to take them, and then it's just going to get worse from there. And it gets more expensive too, just so you know. If you hire an attorney earlier in the case, like Mr. Davis said, he doesn't have to do as much work, which means it's not going to be as expensive if you wait a year from now and you're now calling him and
Hmm.
telling him, "Look where I am now. I'm really scared." Then you really won't be able to afford it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I had to find him. I really searched. I was in different groups, and then all of a sudden he popped up, and I was like,
well,
"Let me
he's
see
here.
this
I
man."
mean, he will be the one. So
I said, "Who is this
California,
yellow man talking all this stuff?" And I reached out. I, so I'm gonna send you the minutes. Ain't nothing you saying to me harsh. Believe
Okay.
me, we all want lawyers.
Send them to me, and when you send them to me, call my office and say, "Hey, Davis told me to send him some minute orders. Would you give him a telephone message that Sabrina Hall called and sent him the minute orders?" And what you might want to do is give me a couple of days to review them, and then make a phone appointment with the people you call on the phone, the receptionist,
Mhm.
and then I can have the phone appointment with you and just tell you, what I think about the case and what you should be doing. Okay?
What I should be doing. What do you feel about? I have another question. How do you feel about like religion when it comes to the CPS court case? Because I felt like my rights were violated. They like kind of talked bad about my religion. They've never been in my house because I said they had to do a cleansing. So CPS has never been in my house ever, but one time. But they violated me. Told my religion was ridiculous.
Well,
And
unfortunately, it has no effect on the CPS case itself. You could file a federal separate lawsuit for religious discrimination.
okay. And how would it entail? Like, are you allowed to sue CPS? Like, being if I feel like I'm targeted, and I'm saying that, but I'm just saying, are you allowed to sue CPS?
Absolutely. Now, you can sue CPS, but that doesn't mean you're going to win.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of things to suing CPS that are, involved and controversial. I don't know if you know this, but CPS workers in this state and in most states
They're
enjoy,
protected.
qualified immunity. So it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard enough to sue somebody and win, but if they have qualified immunity, it just adds a couple extra layers onto the problem to win. So you're not making. They haven't made it easy. And why do they have qualified immunity? Because they know social workers screw up, and they don't want to make it easy for you to win money because the public, the counties, the states, they have to pay that money. So what they're basically saying is, we know CPS workers screw up, but we're going to make it hard for you to sue them because we can't afford it. We just can't afford
Yeah. Cities do make it
A
hard with
lot of things
anything.
that parents, a lot of things that parents don't know is like Mr. Davis always says, people think by suing and let's say winning would keep your kids in your care, and that's the exact
No.
opposite. Meaning, usually if you win a civil lawsuit case, you're winning money. You're not winning your child. So Mr. Davis always recommends keep your kids in your care, have your cases completely closed, and then if you feel like you want to sue, then sue because in all honesty, all you're really going to win is money. You're not necessarily going to win your kids back or keep your kids in your care, if that makes sense, because a lot of people, I think, get those two things confused as far as, oh, well, I'm just going to sue them, thinking that that's going to, keep your kids with you. And that's usually far from the truth. So that's why this show is called what it is, how to fight CPS and win. Meaning
Yeah.
people always think, that suing is going to keep their kids, but that's
Right.
usually not the case.
Hey, Sabrina, I want to thank you for coming on the show this morning. I appreciate you sharing your story, and I hope to hear from you soon with those minute orders so I can give you some more expert advice, okay?
Yes, give me some time because it's the weekend. I would have to go to court, but I really appreciate all of you and how you guys got right back to me.
Okay.
I didn't speak my whole story, but I really got some good, valuable advice today.
Well,
And I
thank you
look
very
forward
much.
to working with you.
All right, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Bye-bye. Okay, we have...
Woo!
Where'd Darren go? Oh,
I'm right
We
here.
have... We're past the cutoff time, but let me ask you, Miss Payne, do you have any questions or comments?
no, if she's still listening, I just recommend for her to really watch a lot of your shows because she needs a lot more knowledge like we've all learned, but
What are you
maybe she.
looking at? What are you looking at? You're looking up and to
Me?
your left.
Oh,
Oh,
that's a
my
liar.
husband has the football game on.
Oh,
He's watching
football
the college football game. Yeah,
football season is back and underway.
it is.
I was supposed to go to the USC game today. I don't think I'm going to be
Oh,
Is
able.
that
why
why we were
not?
early?
It was a USC or UCLA, one of those.
Don't
Um,
mess that up,
At the
Mr. D.
Coliseum, or yeah, I would love to go to that.
yeah,
Go, Mr. Davis.
the USC game is definitely at the Coliseum. And
Yeah, that
when
would be fun.
UCLA plays, I don't know if they both play this weekend in town. UCLA is at the Rose Bowl, which is
Yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah.
closer to me. Which is actually closer to me. Anyway,
Wow.
Mr. Guai, did you have any last minute questions or comments?
No, not today. I don't believe. I know that we're running by a little bit. I'm gonna keep this for tomorrow morning conversation, maybe. Yeah, I know that you've got to good busy day ahead of you. That's why we started early today. So
Okay, very good. Thank you both, and we'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m., our regular time on the weekend. All righty?
all right.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.